Well, hello. I'm Dr. David Wong. Welcome to our webinar on Healthy People, Healthy Planet. Before we start, I'd like to encourage everyone to stay to the end. And if you have any questions, please send us your questions via the chat window here. And hopefully we'll share some great information, keep you engaged, and we have some special announcements at the end to share with you as well. So sit back and enjoy. Okay, so let's get started. So what we're going to cover today is to talk about our toxic planet and how these toxins are going to affect our health. And then we're going to spend more time with talking about the solutions. So in terms of nutrition, sustainable practices in our daily living, and also clean eating. So these are the main topics. And just a bit about myself. I am the founder and the formulator for Prana Organic, which I'm very passionate about. I've been a naturopathic doctor here in Vancouver over 25 years and helped to found and establish the Boucher Institute of Naturopathic Medicine here in BC, in New Westminster. This is the second accredited naturopathic college in Canada. And I'm absolutely passionate about food as medicine and living sustainably. So the first chapter here is Toxic Planet, so let's dive right in. The big picture really is about, how do we sustain and support the 7.4 billion people living on this planet currently? And really, to me, the only way is to have a sustainable ecosystem is to be able to recycle everything that we use, including our air, water, and food that we all depend on. And that means that we have to consume and eliminate only organic matter. Otherwise, our forests, our oceans, and farms cannot recycle this back to the air, water, and food that we require. So anything outside of the sustainable ecosystem causes problems, including the chemical inputs and depletion of resources. So on the left of this slide, you see synthetic chemicals. So we're going to cover that. Obviously, any cosmeceuticals, pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, things that we create, that we need, that we use, actually is contributing to the disease problems that we're facing today. Depending on Chinese to make all of our goods that we certainly use a lot of in North America, causes the pollution issues because it's unregulated in China, and this is causing a global population issue. And in terms of protein choices, the beef and the use of fish, which we're going to talk about, is really depleting our resources worldwide. So that has a tremendous impact on why we're not living currently in a sustainable way. So that's the big picture. And the key thing is that we need to stay using organic foods and things in order to be sustainable. So we all know that with carbon emissions on the rise, this is increasing the Earth's surface temperature. Some parts of the Arctic has warmed up to a total of 15 degrees Fahrenheit, resulting in the melting of about half of the ice mass, according to National Geographic. This, of course, is causing the rise in sea levels and temperature and weather patterns that are changing. In terms of the household and personal care items, I think it's really important that we become more aware of what we're doing with this, because besides the air pollution, which we're all aware of, most people aren't aware that tens of thousands of chemicals that we come across into contact every day include the makeup, the solution, the lotions, the shampoos, and cleaning agents that we use and are flushing down the toilet or into our drains is causing these problems to resurface. There's virtually no regulation in the cosmeceutical industry, nor with cleaning agents. There are in fact more than 80,000 different chemicals that are being used every day in North America, amounting to 42 billion pounds per day of this use, which is the equivalent to the amount that would fill 623,000 tanker trucks. This is how much of these chemicals that we are exposed to every single day. The EPA set up Toxic Substance Control Act in 1976. By then, 62,000 chemicals were already in use and have been grandfathered in. And so these chemicals haven't been tested for safety and have been in constant use since then. Since the pervasive use of these chemicals in the 1950s, there's been an increase in childhood brain cancer by 38%, leukemia by 74%, asthma by 80%, ADHD by 53%, and birth defects by 100%. So the key question we have to ask is there a connection between the everyday chemicals we're exposed to and our declining health on a global scale? So it's really important to think about that. So we heard about pollution from cars and industry and waste disposal. Now we're hearing about personal care products. But what about agriculture and Teflon pans? If you have a chance to watch Cowspiracy on Netflix, by all means, you find that the beef industry that supply the fast food chains is what's responsible for the massive deforestation of our rainforests at a rate of 1 to 2 acres per second. That cattle raising is responsible for more than 50% of total gas emissions, which is much greater than the industrial and car pollutions combined. Okay. Now, Teflon flu is a very interesting one that many people aren't aware of. I remember treating a patient who had this condition. It wasn't until we started to ask about the use of pans that we realized that her rash and her constant skin challenges has nothing to do with the types of food, although by that time she was cooking with organic food, but it's this heating of the Teflon plastic that's off-gassing that causes the reaction. So what we know about Teflon flu is that it's caused by the heating of the Teflon coating on your pan made by Dow Chemicals, and that even heating the Teflon for 2 to 5 minutes over your stove is enough to emit the Teflon gas, which causes low birth weight in newborns, elevated cholesterol, abnormal thyroid levels, liver inflammation, weaken immune defense, and may even kill your pet birds. And what's interesting on the Dow website is that they're suggesting people cook with the Teflon pan, but just keep their birds away from the kitchens, which is, I think, a laughing matter. Now, talking about China, whenever we watch Dragon's Den or Shark Tank on TV, these wonderful and passionate entrepreneurs trying to make some money and to create goods, you always hear these Dragon Den people suggesting these people make their products in China, but there is a price to pay. China produces $2.7 trillion of good that is being exported every year. So certainly in North America, we buy a lot of these goods and not realizing that the main energy source used in manufacturing comes from the burning of cheap and yet very toxic fuel, that of coal. So burning coal not only releases carbon dioxide, but also toxic heavy metals like lead, arsenic, cadmium, mercury, and so on. In 2016, China built 144 new coal-fired plants to keep up with manufacturing demands. This will combine with the previous ones built. There's literally over 1,000 of these coal-fired plants constantly polluting and dumping these toxins into the air that eventually settles on the land and sea, causing death and destruction. In 2015 alone, 1.6 million Chinese died directly as a result of these pollutants from cardiovascular death, cardiovascular disease, and cancers. And that's from all of these coal-fired particulates. Mission Blue is another documentary I suggest you watch, in that overfishing has reduced fish stocks to 5% compared to what it was in the 1950s. So 50% of the world's population still rely on fish as a major protein source, and we're still harvesting at a rate of 80 metric tons per year. So eating fish is not sustainable, and later we're going to learn on the fact that all these pollutants that's coming from China and other third world countries that have no pollution regulation in place is really causing a demise in terms of the quality of the fish that people are eating as well. So let's go into the flow is in fact damaging our health. The studies have shown that pesticides, solvents, phthalates in plastics, perfluorochemicals in food wrappers, secondhand smoke with its 4,000 different chemicals that can lead to miscarriages, preterm birth, and so on. The average newborn has 287 chemicals in her umbilical cord, 217 of which are neurotoxins that are poisonous to the developing tissue. Is there any wonder why there's developmental delays and tremendous numbers of kids suffering from ADHD and autism? This is an interesting quote by David Bellinger, researcher, showing that 41 million IQ points have been collectively forfeited as a result of exposure to lead, mercury, and organophosphate pesticides. Man-made toxic substances and environmental exposure, including pesticides in our produce, flame retardants in our fish, heavy metals in our fish, and so on, can target neurological tissue, causing dementia, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's, and depression. Yet only 1 out of 15 physicians are trained to recognize the connection between disease and environmental exposure. Most doctors treat only the symptoms with even more drugs without looking for the cause or the causes. And what's worse is that these drugs that isn't being absorbed gets flushed down to the toilet and add even more toxins to an already toxic environment. Our drinking water and our fish are laced with prescription medications. These 2 studies show that the systematic review of 762 studies on depression indicating that more than 80% of cases are actually based on misdiagnosis, and that in fact these patients that are supposedly suffering from depression are actually suffering from chronic metabolic fatigue, and that it was misdiagnosis given the wrong medication. So this is a study published in the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry, speaking to the many doctors and psychiatrists, and because there's no medication for chronic fatigue, they're listening to their patients, come in with chronic fatigue, low mood, not able to get up in the morning, not feeling like they want to go into the office or to school. And then they say, hey, why don't you try these antidepressants? So this is a real big issue. And in fact, what makes that worse is that the other study down below shows that 250 million prescriptions of antidepressants are filled every year in the US, making it the most commonly prescribed medication. The previous study was true. This means that 200 million prescriptions are erroneously prescribed. And what makes this even much worse is that trace of Prozac have been flushed down the toilet, going into our groundwater, into our rivers and streams, and making its way into the ocean. And now traces of Prozac is found in the sockeye salmon fry, causing them to be anxious, antisocial, aggressive, and homicidal. So we really don't know and have not been aware of the downstream effect of all these chemicals that we're flushing down these toilets and drains. And now what we're seeing is that it's not only polluting our drinking water, but also affecting the food in terms of what we're seeing here with the fish. So chronic disease, the prevalence of pesticides, GMO foods, drug residue, and drinking water contribute to our overall toxicity. Add to this our poor diet, nutritional deficiencies, daily stress, and what you've got is a perfect recipe for the start of chronic inflammation that lead to eventually chronic diseases like cardiovascular disease, cancers, neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's, diabetes, and so on. So, having gone through that doom and gloom, and hopefully you're not too depressed by it, but that is our reality. We live in this toxic soup, and really the only way that I feel that we can overcome this is, we need to have better strategies because it's, as you can see, it's in our air, our water, our food, and our homes. It's really unavoidable. So, what are the strategies that we can incorporate to maintain our health? And obviously, what we want to talk about is nutrition, sustainable practices, and clean eating. That I think are the 3 key strategies that can help keep us clean and healthy, but also down the road to also help reduce the amount of toxins in our already toxic environments. So next to our lungs, the liver is probably the largest detoxification organ capable of ridding the body of many of the poisons that otherwise can accumulate and cause harm. So the key is to eat foods and taking nutrients that can assist with regular cleansing, including vitamins like vitamin C, minerals like selenium and zinc, phytonutrients that are in all kinds of different vegetables. So at the bottom of the slide here, you see a quote from Dr. Liu, who's probably one of the most cited researchers in the field of agriculture. And he says that no single antioxidant can replace the combination of natural phytonutrients and antioxidants found in fruits and vegetables. And what he means by that is that it's not up to taking something in a bottle that's a concentrated form of an antioxidant, but by eating a wide array of different types of vegetables and different colors, that the combination of that is what is going to confer the protection that comes from the fruits and vegetables. So rather than having a spinach or romaine lettuce, add many different kinds of lettuces. You're doing a stir fry with asparagus, maybe add 3 other vegetables to it. So by eating a combination of foods, you're going to get that synergistic effect that comes from all these wonderful foods that Mother Nature provides for us. Supporting detoxification, of course, or we should be voting with our buying dollars is so important, and to understand that major companies like Kellogg's and various food manufacturers that used to just make food that are devoid of nutrients are now starting to move towards healthier options, removing toxins and coloring dyes and so on. So really important that you understand that there is this connection with food and our health, and that buying the right foods, especially organic and plant-based foods, is going to help you, and also to change the way in which formulators and manufacturers are making these kinds of foods that are out there as well. Cleansing foods, so specifically in terms of targeting and supporting our organs of detoxification, I see a list of different foods for the liver, including beets and burdock, milk thistle. For the kidneys, these are classically the diuretics that helps to flush toxins out. So if you're trying to cleanse your kidneys, I strongly suggest drink a lot of water, and along with parsley, corn silk, watermelon, that help things out. You cosmeceuticals, we've talked about body care lotions and so on. All these things have to go through your liver and kidney. So the more of these foods and water that you can put down into your body certainly will assist to regularly flush these toxins out of the body. Digestive system, obviously, ginger, peppermint, fermented food helps in elimination. The lymphatic system is like the sewage system of the body. It helps to flush toxins that are more fatty, that comes from the liver and large intestine. So leafy greens and lots of water, exercises and light massages helps to prime the pump, as it were, to help move the toxins out of the body. Skin, hair, and nails, cutaneous tissues that need the support as well. So nettle, leafy greens, of course, lots of vitamin B's and C helps with hair, skin, and nails as well. So why organic? Organic offers a lot of advantages. Firstly, it has fewer quantities of pesticides because they're not allowed to spray with pesticides, but there may be incidental pollution from the air from other farms. Certainly more nutrient concentration, higher phytonutrient content and antioxidants as well. One interesting study I came across showed that elementary school age kids' bodies during the summer, where they're eating lots of fresh produce, have a much higher body burden of pesticides. But just by switching to organic foods in 5 days, their bodies are pesticide free. So just by eating the right food, i.e., organic plant-based diet, your body can eliminate toxins, especially when it comes to pesticides. So using organic is really the only sustainable way to help the body stay clean, but at the same time also reducing the toxic load to our environment. So if you have a problem accessing organic food, you might want to look on the ewg.org website, which is the Environmental Working Group. And on the left, what you see is a list of the dirty dozen. These are typically fruits and vegetables that are sprayed with lots of pesticides. And so you definitely want to avoid those 12 because they're prone to having bugs on them. And farmers that are growing these things conventionally would typically put a lot of pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, and so on these things. So avoid those if you don't have access to organic. On the right side are the Clean 15. So EWG put this together when they rated again, looked at the amount of pesticides and found these vegetables are less prone to pests and have fewer amounts of pesticides on them. Going plant-based, obviously, I encourage people to eat a majority of their diet from plant-based foods, or you can call it plant-centric diet, because it's not only great for you, but also great for the planet. More than 30% of the agricultural land is used to raise food to feed our cattle, which is a very inefficient way, a wasteful way of using our resources when so many people on our planet are starving for food. So a lot of soybeans, a lot of corn is grown to feed the cattle. For every beef burger produced, in fact, also 3,000 liters of water is used, along with the prolific use of antibiotics, superbugs, and deforestation. These are all the challenges that come from raising that cattle. Now, I'm not saying that everyone needs to be vegan, but everyone really should think about eating at least a 75 to 80% plant-based diet in order to keep their bodies healthy and as well to reduce inflammation and to cleanse the body on a regular basis. The increase in temperature and acidification has led to the white bleaching effect and the loss of more than 40% of our coral reefs in the world, which are the nurseries of the oceans. Fish and seafood make up 50% of the world's protein consumption, and that 75% have been at least exploited to date, and 80 metric tons have been harvested per year. There's also 5 kilograms of kilogram of fish, which means that that for every kilogram of fish that are being used, other incidentals, be it turtles, sharks, and dolphins, are also caught, and these are also killed as well. Fish and seafood are no longer safe for consumption because of the very high levels of mercury, PCB, dioxin, antidepressants we've seen in our previous studies, steroids, etc. So I don't recommend fish. There's studies that show that fish don't have the saturated fat that cattle and other red meats have, which I agree. It also has the omega fish oil, which is great for the body as an anti-inflammatory oil, but it's simply not sustainable. And I happen to have a background in heavy metal toxicity, and I know that nowadays the fish have huge levels of mercury, and then when we eat the salmons and the tunas, we're accumulating huge levels of that mercury. And when it's in the body, it causes damage to our nervous system, our liver, kidneys, intestines, and it's stays in the body for a very, very long time. We're talking decades, at least 30 years, sometimes over 100 years for some people. So you don't have a prevalence or a strong suggestion to look at other protein sources. So in terms of supplements, it's really important to make some comments around this because more than 75% of North American population use one form of supplementation or another. In my first 17 years of my practice, I was working with a lot of patients and I used a lot of minerals and vitamins. And to my surprise, I found that a great many were getting toxic side effects like headaches, nausea, and vomiting. And it wasn't until I did in-depth search for the sources of these supplements that I came across the fact that minerals and vitamins are in fact made by drug companies, and that vitamins are typically made with formaldehyde, petroleum byproducts, coal tar derivatives, acetone, cyanide, and that minerals are typically made from parts. And it's no wonder my patients would get sick from the vitamins, and that in the first 17 years of my practice, I really had a difficult time trying to help people with osteoporosis or people who had anemia and are taking these rock-based minerals that their bodies simply aren't absorbing. So in 2007, I literally threw away $30,000 of products from my dispensary and went looking and discovered that, in fact, no one was making supplements from food. So between 2007 and 2012, spent 5 years doing R&D and came up with this line of products called Prawn and Organic Products. That's made only from organic vegan ingredients. And what's after that R&D period, I found that my supplements were no longer causing the side effects, but in fact, it really supported people, particularly those who have stress issues and are metabolically depleted by way of adrenal deficiency and burnout, and have symptoms like fatigue, low mood, weight gain, inflammation, infection that eventually lead to thyroid and hormonal issues and chronic diseases. So for me, dealing with the causes of the problem, I wanted to create a line of supplements that help to deal with the root causes. So the Prawn and Organic Products addresses these nutritional deficiencies, especially of stressed individuals and are very nutritionally deficient during times of stress. So Moms A to Z is something that we just launched this year, and moms are particularly stressed and are commonly depleted of B vitamins, iron, vitamin D, and so on. So I formulated this product to specifically address these needs during and after pregnancy. Folate is a food form that's made naturally that helps with deficiencies that is common for moms, that also helps to prevent neurotube defects and cancer. The synthetic form called folic acid is not as effective in doing these things. A to Z is an essential nutrient product, but it's very, very focused on supporting the metabolism of individuals, particularly with liver, pancreas, adrenals, and thyroid. So for people that are not eating as well, strongly recommend the A to Z as a general nutritional support and metabolic support. B and C, in the next slide, were created for people with advanced stress symptoms, with adrenal deficiencies, maybe thyroid issues, hormone imbalances. The B is made only from organic lemon, guava, holy basil, and spirulina, supplying the full spectrum of B vitamins, and it has therapeutic doses of these things in order to kickstart and to maintain metabolism, overcoming fatigue, without the use of stimulants, helping to maintain proper body weight and maintain mood, prevent inflammation, infections. So your adrenal glands uses up a lot of B vitamins during stress, and having this product is absolutely crucial for those individuals. The Prawn Organic Seeds made only from amla berries and moringa leaves provide you with the natural form of vitamin C that's more absorbable than the synthetic ascorbic acid that you see in the marketplace today. If you had a true vitamin C deficiency, only the natural form of vitamin C can overcome that problem. And today, I still see people with scurvy issues. So ascorbic acid is not something that will overcome that at all. Product helps to also heal leaky gut and support immunity. Our organic pure food iron is something that's also very special. We as human beings are aerobic metabolizers, which means that we have to have that oxygen in order to metabolize. So the organic iron is made only with curry leaves, amla berries, and moringa leaves. And the iron that comes from the curry leaves have been used, in fact, in Ayurvedic medicine for more than 3,000 years. That has that highly absorbable iron and does not cause the side effects that are common with the iron that are made from rock parts. So the constipation, stomach upset is not something new with this. In fact, 80% of my patients restore the iron levels within 30 days of taking this product. And the amla berry really helps with the absorption because it has a wonderful source of vitamin C that also helps with the absorption. My encouragement for those people who are anemic is to do a baseline test with their iron, including the serum iron, hemoglobin, and ferritin levels. And after following this program and taking 1 scoop per day, after 30 days, you really should run another set of tests to see where you're at, because if you're like many of my patients, if your iron levels are restored, you really shouldn't take more, because too much iron causes toxicity in the body. So out of all the nutrients that we've discussed today, the other vitamins are quite safe, and they're soluble, so if there's too much, the body will get rid of it. Iron, if you take too much, can accumulate in the body, can cause brain damage, and can accelerate aging in the body as well. So taking the right amount of iron and stopping when you have normal levels is really the way to go. Smoothie boosters is something that we came up with last year as well. Many of the jar products we've talked about today are wonderful to take, but once you open them, you need to refrigerate them. Pure Food Smoothie Boosters is a convenient way for those who don't have time to take smoothies or are traveling and want the convenience of tearing, dumping, shaking in a jar in a water bottle and drinking on the go. These are made specifically for the active individuals, flavor only with organic apple. And so the original green has the A to Z, B, and C for those who have active lifestyles or who need that adrenaline if they're stressed. Super berries have the vitamins, minerals, and lots of antioxidants from these organic berries that help prevent against premature aging. Raw cacao is a very special formula that is really high in bioavailable minerals. So there's the calcium, magnesium, that's great for controlling inflammation and also for bone building. You'll recall earlier on that I said that I wasn't able to reverse osteoporosis. Well, now I have a plant-based formula that's been helping my patients reverse their osteoporosis. And why? Because these minerals have been bound to foods like proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. And not only Mother Nature can do that is recognized by the body as a nutrient. And that's why the body could build a bone that otherwise cannot be done with rock-based minerals. So just like you would choose organic foods to help you clean your body, when it comes to nutraceutical products, look for the organic symbol, whether USDA organic or the Canadian organic. This is the only way that you know that your nutraceutical products are safe and absorbable. Okay. Now let's talk about conscious living and sustainable ways of helping ourselves and our planet. From reducing, reusing, recycling, to turning off our lights, to being more mindful of products we bring into our homes. There are many ways to reduce our toxic load and live a more conscious and better lives. So here's a list of things that you can use, from baking soda, essential oils, to lemon juice, soap, hydrogen peroxide, vinegar, olive oil, and salt that you can easily pick up from your health food store or your local drugstores that could help you clean your house without using harsh chemicals. Okay, the indoor environment is probably some of the most toxic. We'll get into cleaning agents and so on and so forth that have many caustic and toxic ingredients in them. Personal care items, yes. More and more companies are coming up with organic cosmeceutical products. That because this industry is largely unregulated, I strongly encourage you to look for products that have more and more organic, and especially the ones that have the organic symbol. It means that at least 95% of the ingredients are organic. So choose the brands that you trust, and look for that these ingredients that are toxic. So on the right in that orange square, you have the BHA, BHT, coal tar dyes, DHA, phthalates, formaldehyde, many of which are very, very toxic, are even cancer causing. So avoid those things. All right. So all these information that are in the chart are can be had in your ebook, which we'll talk about later. So reducing energy is certainly something that we need to be aware of. Average American uses up to 12,000 watts per year, whereas the average Bangladeshi uses only 300 watts per year. And while I think it's going to be very difficult to aim for the 300 watts, we can all look at ways of reducing our energy consumption by carpooling or driving hybrid cars or electric cars where possible, riding a bike, taking transit, eating with the seasons, trying to consume foods that are more local, traveling less, and doing more video conferencing, exploring our cities and places and closer to our homes, investing in smarter energy, solar, and using rain barrels and smart meters, downsizing our homes, practicing minimalism. So there's another documentary that you can watch called Minimalism in Netflix. So yeah, it's a wonderful concept to live with less. My wife and I have certainly stopped going to your local box stores and filling our SUV with all the wonderful products that are being produced. But really just buying the thing we really need rather than stocking stuff up. I remember that in the last move we managed to give away truckloads of stuff and sold a bunch of stuff and recycled a bunch. So certainly a new thing. We feel much lighter and much better for it. Supporting your stress response. So like I said, many people experience stress, and in fact, more than 80% of all doctors' office visits have to do with chronic fatigue, weight gain, chronic inflammation, all these things that we talked about. So it's really important to manage your stress. And besides taking the supplements we talked about, incorporating stress management techniques like breathing, getting outside to nature, laughter, playing, getting adequate sleep, regular exercises during the day, but in the evenings, taking that downtime to do yoga, tai chi, meditation really is a wonderful way of slowing your body's physically down so you're getting that deep restorative sleep. For any of those of you wanting more information on this, you can go on a website and download the ebook on mastering your metabolism to get more information on this particular topic. Cleansing eats, really a wonderful strategy to incorporate smoothies and salads, again, to try and keep our body clean, given that we are all living in this toxic soup. So on the left, it's a red velvet smoothie with the smoothie booster. On the right is a deep green with the original green, or you could add the A to Z. We have many recipes on our website for you to explore, and encourage you to incorporate smoothies and salads every day where possible. So before we go into the questions, I'd just like to remind our attendees that you can download a free copy of Healthy Planet, Healthy People, Healthy Planet. And in fact, we're going to be sending you an email to help you with getting a link to the ebook as well as a link to this webinar. And as well, we want to thank you for attending and to also offer you a special promo code that will give you a discount to ordering your products if you so choose. All right, so let's, it's about 40 minutes into it, and we have a question here from Frederick. I read that grapefruit suppresses the phase 2 enzymes of the liver. Yes. We're understanding more and more about nutrition. There's, when you learn about pharmacology and the drugs that we take in, it's really up to our livers to try and break this down, metabolize this. And all throughout pharmacological textbooks and textbooks about managing toxicology, people talk about how grapefruit suppresses this. It's not a black and white. It certainly, if you're using bushel-fulls of this stuff, you have to cut it back because you don't want to impair your phase 2 detoxification pathway in your liver. But if you're having one grapefruit a week, 2 grapefruits a week, you're not going to appreciably depress the liver function in this regard. Okay, so I get these questions all the time. Can you, I was told last night was a question in my talk. Take the iron with. I was told I should not be taking my iron with chicken or goat feta or any protein because it interferes with the absorption. Again, if you're using food-based iron, you really don't need to be concerned about those kinds of rules. So good question. I hope I answered your question, Frederick. Are there any other questions from our listeners? No? Okay. I must have done a great job. Thank you very much for your time. And again, you'll be seeing an email for signing up with us. And we'll see you at our next webinar. Thank you very much.